Hello guys, welcome back to another episode here on African Confessions. There is a message that I want to share with you guys, and this message reads like this. The year was between 2015 and somewhere around 2016. Uber just came in and it was a new business in South Africa, and a lot of people were joining in. At this time, I was working as a teacher and my salary will be finished before it was even deposited. I was always broke all the times. I also wanted to join this transport business that seemed to be very lucrative. I applied for finance, but the bank could not approve me because I had already gotten a bond and I could not even afford it. So affordability was not on my side because of the other credit that I was owing. All of my bank accounts, they were always on overdraft, and things were not working out for me. The bank took a look at my expenses and they said that I could not qualify for another bond. This is how I ended up looking for money the wrong way, being a breadwinner for my family. And the family that I came from was very hard. Every month I was left almost without a cent because of this. My brother, I think that this is the root cause of all things that have corruption in them, because the reason why most of the people end up being corrupt, it is not because black people we want to be very corrupt, but the system is made to work against us. Let me give you an example. When a child is being brought up, if that child mainly comes from a white background, you have full financial support from your uncles, and you also have financial support from all sides of the family, from your mother's family and from your father's family. Even after you have graduated, most of these young white kids, before they have even graduated, they will be already working for their uncles. Hence, you see that they just come out of university, then they start working. But as for us black people, it's always that you have to start from the bottom. And most of the times you do not have any support coming from anywhere. That is why we find it so hard to access any kind of meaningful loans from the banks. Most of the loans that they give us, it will just be cell phones, maybe you can get a car and things like that. But if you want a loan so that you can do an investment, the bank will give you a lot of runarounds, because most of the houses that our parents own, if your parents have houses in the townships or in the village, some of those houses, the bank does not recognize it as an asset that they can take if you default on your loan. So that is why we do not have economic emancipation. And me being the breadwinner, it was always difficult for me month in and month out. I would go to work, but I was always working for the whole clan, and I had the zeal to make sure that all of the youngsters that were growing up in our family, they can go to school. My mother would wake up, sometimes she will go and stand in the queue on my payday, and she will call me and she say that I am at the bank, can you please deposit me some money? My mother is not someone whom we can say she is evil, but by the time that it will be month end, there will be no food in the house. Every month end she would wake up, bath as if she was going to work. This was almost like a pension fund, since she had struggled to take me to school. Being a man, you don't want to say a lot of things, so I'll just send the money, and my wife and children will suffer sometimes because I was born and I was raised in a very big family. And each and every month end, I had to take care of my siblings' kids. I needed a way out of this, because as for me and my wife, this was like a never-ending cycle. We tried so much to sit down so that we can plan ahead. But how can you plan ahead when you are taking care of the rest of the clan? Someone told me that there was a traditional man who was going to help me. Me being a man who loved being connected to his ancestors, and as a very traditional man, I didn't even hesitate to go and consult with him. I went there and he told me that this was a very easy way, and he liked to see Africans connect with their ancestors. I'm not saying that there is anything bad about you connecting with your ancestors, that there is another dark side that needs to be sorted out. I know that there are a lot of Africans that have the energy to connect with their ancestors, but there is this witchcraft that needs to be sorted out, because our ancestors are supposed to protect us from all of these witches. Then people can come flocking back to their ancestors. He spoke to the ancestors and I couldn't hear them, but he heard them. And if only I realized the stupidity of what I was doing, I could have left earlier. Maybe today I would have been happier and content with the little I had, but it was because of black text that had sent me here. My wife would admire other men who would buy their wives' cars. That time, even though she had a license, but she could not even use it, because at that time, my brother, even though previously we had a car, but unfortunately we had to sell the car after the car had broken down, so we could not maintain the car anymore. Every time when my wife would tell me that so and so has bought his wife a car as a birthday present, this thing, it always stressed me out. I felt embarrassed as a man, as if I had failed my wife, so I had to do it. The traditional healer gave me a small clay pot and I was supposed to put it into a room, and this room was supposed to be entered whilst I was wearing all white clothes and white shoes, and I was supposed to mop the room with a white cloth and not to use water, but I was supposed to use milk that was white in color. I came home and I used one back room that my wife was busy looking for a tenant so that we can get the money. I locked the back room, and the following day when she called me, I was at work. Then she asked me where the keys to that back room were, because she needed them for viewing. I told her that I had the keys, and she was fuming because we had lost the money and we had lost a potential tenant. So the traditional healer had told me that in order for me to appease my ancestors, they'll need blood, and this blood I had to offer something that was like a cow, because they wanted real blood, because the owner of the White Kingdom, which was marine in nature, the one who vomited money, the snake himself, wanted some blood to be appeased. I got lost upon being told this when that traditional healer told me later on, after I had left his consultation room. I was really angry at him, because how could my ancestors require blood from me? But he told me that this is what the ancestors had requested of me, but I had been lied to. The person who was requesting of this blood was the ruler of the darkness kingdom. He wanted human blood to be appeased, but he then relaxed the rules for me, and a cow was needed instead. I got lost because of these lies. They wanted a name, and I had given them my brother's name. This guy always made fun of me, so he had to go. A few days later, we received the message that he was gone. I had never felt so much guilt like this in my entire life about the things that I had done. I was told that I was not allowed to see dead people, so I could not attend the funeral because I could not risk me being dirty. This is the reason why I was told that whenever I will be entering into that back room, I had to wear white clothes always, because white clothes, they were a representation of me being pure. Whilst my wife was away, I had told her to go and attend the funeral, and I'll be following her behind. She left, and the following day, after the sacrifice was made, I went into the room wearing all white. Then I saw new banknotes. These new banknotes, they were in US dollars. They were just placed on the side of the clay pot. And when I got these new US dollars, I didn't even know what to do with this money, because here it is not always that you find a South African going around carrying huge sums of US dollars. Hey, dear listeners, right there was a message that was sent to me by our dear brother. Strange things happen in this world.